A woman opens her heart only when she feels emotionally safe. Let me tell you something real. A woman doesn't open her heart because you look good. She doesn't stay because you have money. And she doesn't fully give herself just because you say the right words. Real intimacy begins when a woman feels safe. Safe enough to be herself. Safe enough to speak without being shut down. Safe enough to cry without being judged. Safe enough to trust that when she's vulnerable, you won't use it against her later. See, men often think intimacy starts in the bedroom. But for a woman, intimacy starts in the mind and settles in the heart. A woman does not give her heart because a man is loud, impressive, or confident. She gives her heart when she feels safe. And safety is not something you say, it is something you prove over time. A woman is always watching how you react when she is emotional, how you respond when she disagrees, how you behave when things are not going your way. She is paying attention to whether your love is steady or conditional. Because real intimacy does not begin with touch. It begins with trust. When a woman feels safe, she does not have to pretend. She does not have to shrink herself to keep the peace. She does not have to walk on eggshells, choosing her words carefully out of fear of your reaction. Safety means she can speak honestly without being punished for it later. It means her emotions are not called drama, weakness, or overthinking. It means when she opens up, she is not met with silence, jokes, or dismissal. Men often misunderstand this. They think providing money is safety. They think physical presence is safety. They think saying, "I love you," is enough. But a woman feels safe when she knows her feelings matter just as much as yours. When she knows that even on your worst days, you will not emotionally abandon her. When she knows that disagreements will not turn into disrespect. A woman becomes distant long before she leaves. She pulls back emotionally the moment she realizes she cannot be vulnerable with you anymore. The moment her tears make you uncomfortable. The moment her pain feels like an inconvenience. Each time that happens, she closes a door inside herself. And once too many doors are closed, intimacy fades, even if she is still physically there. Safety is consistency. It is showing up the same way on good days and bad days. It is keeping your word, especially when it would be easier not to. A woman feels safe when your actions line up with your promises. When she does not have to guess where she stands with you. When love is not something she has to earn again every time you are in a mood. When a woman feels safe, she softens. She opens up. She becomes more affectionate, more supportive, more understanding. Not because she is weak, but because she finally feels secure enough to let her guard down. And make no mistake, every woman has a guard. Life, past relationships, and disappointments built it. You do not break it with force. You earn your way past it with patience and respect. A woman shares her deepest fears only with someone she trusts, not to weaponize them later. She tells her story to someone she believes will protect it. If she feels that her vulnerability will be thrown back at her during an argument, she will stop sharing altogether. Silence becomes her defense. Distance becomes her protection. Real intimacy grows when a man creates a space where a woman feels emotionally held, where she knows she can fail, cry, doubt herself, and still be loved, where she does not have to be perfect to be accepted, where she is not afraid of being replaced the moment she is inconvenient. And when a woman feels that kind of safety, her love becomes deep, her loyalty becomes natural, her commitment becomes unshakable, not because she is dependent, but because she feels secure. She chooses to stay, not out of fear of losing you, but because she feels at home with you. So if intimacy is missing, the question is not what she is doing wrong. The question is whether she feels safe enough to be fully herself with you. Because a woman will give her body without safety, but she will never give her heart without it. And without her heart, real intimacy will never exist. A woman opens up when she feels heard, respected, and protected. That is the foundation of emotional intimacy. It is not enough for a man to simply say he listens or that he cares. Listening requires attention, patience, and understanding. When a woman speaks, she is revealing pieces of herself that the world does not often see. She is showing her fears, her dreams, her vulnerabilities. Every word she shares is a test of trust, and how a man responds determines whether she will continue to open up or retreat into silence. She needs to know that her voice matters, that it is not just heard but acknowledged. Respect is more than politeness. It is recognition of her humanity. A woman feels respected when her opinions are considered, when her boundaries are honored, and when her decisions are valued. Men often underestimate the power of respect. It is not about agreeing with everything she says, but about showing that her thoughts and feelings have weight. When she expresses herself without fear of judgment, criticism, or ridicule, she feels safe enough to be vulnerable. Without respect, listening becomes hollow and protection becomes meaningless. True intimacy cannot grow in a soil that is infertile with respect. Protection is not only physical, it is emotional and psychological. A woman feels protected when she knows that a man will stand by her in difficult moments, when he will defend her against unfair criticism, and when he will uphold her dignity. Protection creates a sense of security, the knowledge that she is not alone in the world, that she does not have to face her struggles without support. It is not about controlling her or shielding her from every hardship, but about being a consistent, reliable presence she can lean on. Emotional safety comes from knowing that someone will not take advantage of her vulnerabilities or betray her trust. Listening, respect, and protection work together to build a space where intimacy can flourish. A woman who feels heard knows that her experiences and emotions are valid. She feels valued when she is treated with respect, and she feels secure when she knows she is protected. In such an environment, she can lower her defenses and let a man see her true self. She can share her insecurities without shame, express her desires without fear, and dream out loud without hesitation. These are the moments where real intimacy is born, when hearts connect beyond superficial attraction. The absence of these elements leads to emotional distance. When a woman's words are ignored, minimized, or ridiculed, she retreats. When her boundaries are disrespected, she builds walls. When she feels unprotected, she becomes guarded, keeping her true self hidden. Men often misinterpret this withdrawal as disinterest, when in fact it is a natural response to the absence of safety. Every slight, every dismissive gesture chips away at the trust that allows intimacy to grow. Emotional closeness cannot survive in an environment where a woman feels unheard, disrespected, or unprotected. A man must actively cultivate these qualities. He must listen not to respond, but to understand. He must respect not just her words, but her experiences and her individuality. He must protect not to dominate, but to provide assurance that she is not alone. These actions are consistent and intentional, forming a foundation that invites a woman to be fully present in a relationship. It is not a one-time effort, but a continual practice that shows reliability, care, and sincerity. When a woman feels truly heard, respected, and protected, she does not just communicate more openly, she connects more deeply. She allows love to grow in ways that are profound and lasting. She becomes invested not because she is obligated to, but because she experiences the relationship as a safe, nurturing environment. And that is why emotional safety is so essential. Without it, love remains surface level, fragile, and conditional. With it, intimacy becomes enduring, transformative, and real. Inconsistency and broken trust are like cracks in a foundation. They weaken everything built on top of them. A woman notices them more than a man realizes. Every time you promise something and fail to deliver, every time your words do not match your actions, it chips away at her sense of security. She begins to question not only your reliability, but also your commitment. Trust is not built in grand gestures alone. It is built in the small, repeated actions that show a woman she can count on you. Being there when it matters, keeping your word even when it is inconvenient, and showing up consistently in both words and deeds create the soil in which intimacy can grow. A woman measures consistency not by perfection, but by effort. She sees whether you are the same person on your worst day as on your best. She notices if your love is dependent on her mood, your schedule, or your convenience. Inconsistency teaches her that she cannot rely on you, that your emotions and actions are unpredictable, and that opening up may come at too high a cost. Broken trust is not always dramatic. It often appears in subtle ways. A forgotten promise, a dismissive response, a repeated pattern of unreliability. And these small cracks accumulate until the walls around her heart become fortified against vulnerability. Trust, once broken, is not easily repaired. Every woman carries experiences of disappointment and betrayal from her past. She is not naive, but she is cautious. When a man proves that he cannot be relied upon, it reinforces her fears and confirms the walls she has built around herself. Healing these breaches requires more than an apology. It requires persistent action, accountability, and the demonstration that you are willing to prioritize her emotional safety above your convenience. Every step toward rebuilding trust must be deliberate, consistent, and patient. Anything less leaves her wary, and intimacy cannot thrive in a landscape of doubt. Consistency and trust are also deeply connected to emotional availability. A woman feels secure when she knows she can approach you with her fears, her doubts, and her needs without triggering unpredictability. If a man responds inconsistently, sometimes empathetic, sometimes dismissive, it teaches her to anticipate rejection, judgment, or neglect. This anticipation creates emotional distance because vulnerability becomes a risk rather than an invitation. A woman who cannot rely on your emotional presence will naturally protect herself by withholding pieces of her heart. Men often underestimate the power of small daily actions in building trust. It is not always about grand romantic gestures. It is about showing up in the ordinary moments. It is being patient when she is upset, keeping promises you made last week, returning messages promptly, and showing attentiveness to her feelings even when life is busy. Consistency sends the message that she matters, that her emotions matter, and that she is not alone in navigating life's challenges. Every dependable action reinforces her safety, while every failure to act undermines it. Broken trust also teaches a woman to become guarded. She learns to measure her words, her affection, and her vulnerability. Walls go up not because she wants to shut you out, but because she needs to protect herself from disappointment. Emotional intimacy cannot exist in a space where she feels that her openness may be punished or disregarded. A man who understands this knows that reliability is not optional. It is essential. Each day, each interaction, each promise kept or broken shapes the level of intimacy a woman is willing to offer. When consistency is present and trust is unbroken, a woman begins to relax. She lets down her defenses, she opens up without fear, and she begins to connect on a level that is genuine and profound. She feels secure knowing that her emotions, her heart, and her vulnerabilities are respected and protected. Real intimacy, the kind that lasts and deepens over time, cannot exist without this foundation. And that is why every man who desires a deep, lasting connection must understand that inconsistency and broken trust are not just minor issues. They are threats to the very possibility of love flourishing. Listening is one of the most powerful tools a man has in building intimacy, yet it is often misunderstood or underutilized. Listening is not simply waiting for your turn to speak or nodding along while a woman talks. True listening requires presence, attention, and empathy. It means giving her your full focus, noticing not just the words, but the emotions behind them. When a woman speaks about her day, her fears, or her dreams, she is offering a part of herself that is vulnerable and precious. If she senses distraction, impatience, or judgment, she immediately retreats because she cannot risk being exposed in an unsafe space. Men often fall into the trap of trying to fix things rather than simply listening. When a woman shares a problem, the instinct is to provide a solution, to advise, or to offer reassurance. But what she really wants is to be heard, to know that her feelings are valid and understood. She wants her emotions acknowledged without being dismissed or minimized. Listening with the intent to understand rather than respond creates a bridge of trust, showing her that she is valued not just for what she does, but for who she is. It tells her that her thoughts and experiences matter and that her emotional world is respected. When a man truly listens, he communicates far more than words ever could. He communicates patience, care, and the willingness to be present even when it is inconvenient. He communicates that her inner world is as important as his own. Women pick up on these subtleties. They notice if he interrupts, changes the subject, or glances at his phone while she talks. These small actions convey disregard and can erode the sense of safety that intimacy depends on. Conversely, when a man listens with full attention, it fosters trust and encourages her to open up even more, deepening the connection between them. Listening also requires emotional restraint. A man must resist the urge to react impulsively to what he hears, especially if it challenges his own perspectives or emotions. A woman will often reveal insecurities, frustrations, or sensitive truths, and if met with defensiveness or anger, she will immediately shut down. She needs to know that her honesty will not be met with judgment or criticism, that her vulnerabilities will not be used against her. True listening is a safe harbor, a space where she can express herself without fear of reprisal, ridicule, or dismissal. It is this type of attentive presence that allows intimacy to grow organically. Respect is intertwined with listening. To truly listen is to honor her voice and her experience. It is to show that her thoughts and emotions are valid, even if they differ from your own. Listening is not passive. It is an active engagement that validates her as a full human being with depth, complexity, and value. A woman who feels truly heard feels acknowledged and appreciated, and this acknowledgement strengthens her emotional connection to the man who listens. It reassures her that she can be herself without needing to perform or filter her emotions. Listening consistently fosters security over time. When a woman sees that a man listens not just occasionally but as a habit, she begins to trust that she can rely on him for emotional support. She learns that sharing her feelings will not create chaos or rejection, but will instead build understanding and closeness. This consistent practice of listening transforms the dynamic from one of superficial communication to deep emotional intimacy. It shows that love is not only felt, but demonstrated through attentiveness and care. Finally, when a woman is listened to with patience, respect, and empathy, she feels empowered to be vulnerable and authentic. She feels safe to share her dreams, fears, and desires without hesitation. This openness is the bedrock of real intimacy, the kind that goes beyond physical attraction or fleeting affection. Listening, when done with sincerity and presence, is the gateway to trust, connection, and a profound emotional bond that cannot be replicated by words alone. Emotional safety creates loyalty, trust, and deep connection, but it is not something that happens automatically. It is built intentionally, moment by moment, through actions, words, and consistency. A woman senses when she can depend on a man not just for fleeting gestures, but for a steady, unwavering presence. When she feels emotionally safe, she knows that her heart, her thoughts, and her vulnerabilities are protected. She knows that she can be herself without fear of judgment, ridicule, or abandonment. This knowledge transforms the way she engages in a relationship. It allows her to invest fully, not out of obligation, but out of trust and genuine desire to be close. Loyalty emerges naturally when a woman feels safe. It is not manufactured or demanded. It is the byproduct of trust and security. She becomes devoted because she feels valued, understood, and cared for. When she sees that a man consistently respects her boundaries, listens attentively, and acts with integrity, she begins to align her heart with his. Her loyalty is reinforced by the confidence that he will not exploit her vulnerabilities or betray her trust. She stands by him not because she fears loss or punishment, but because her emotional safety fosters genuine commitment and devotion. Trust is inseparable from emotional safety. A woman needs to know that her feelings will not be dismissed, her words will not be twisted, and her heart will not be broken carelessly. Trust is the invisible thread that connects her to the man she loves, and it is woven through repeated demonstrations of reliability and honesty. Every promise kept, every supportive gesture, and every moment of emotional availability strengthens this bond. Conversely, trust is fragile. Each lapse, each broken commitment, each inconsistency undermines the foundation and makes her hesitant to open up fully. Emotional safety acts as the protective framework that keeps trust intact and flourishing. Deep connection grows when a woman feels that her emotions are understood and respected. She begins to share not just her surface thoughts, but the inner layers of herself, her fears, dreams, and past wounds. This openness allows a man to truly know her beyond what is visible or convenient. In turn, this connection fosters empathy, compassion, and mutual understanding. It is not a shallow connection based on appearances or fleeting passion, but a profound bond that is reinforced by shared vulnerability and authentic communication. The emotional depth that arises from this security is what differentiates a strong, lasting relationship from one that is superficial or temporary. A woman who feels safe is more likely to invest in the relationship fully. She will contribute emotionally, mentally, and even physically with authenticity and enthusiasm. She will support her partner in his endeavors, offer encouragement in his challenges, and stand beside him in difficult times. Her actions are not dictated by fear or obligation, but by a genuine desire to nurture the relationship. Emotional safety allows her to give freely without hesitation, creating a cycle of trust, loyalty, and intimacy that strengthens with time. It is a dynamic of mutual care and respect where both partners feel seen, heard, and valued. Consistency is key in sustaining this safety. It is not a one-time act, but a continuous effort to show reliability, attentiveness, and care. When a woman sees that a man consistently prioritizes her emotional well-being, she internalizes that the relationship is secure. This security encourages her to relax, to let go of walls, and to be fully present. Emotional safety becomes the foundation upon which loyalty, trust, and deep connection are built. It is the environment in which love can flourish naturally, unforced and enduring, allowing both partners to experience the profound fulfillment of being genuinely known and valued by one another. When a woman feels safe with a man, her love becomes a conscious choice rather than a survival mechanism. She chooses to be present, to give her heart, and to invest herself fully because she trusts that her vulnerability will not be exploited. This choice is powerful because it is not born out of fear, obligation, or need. It is born out of security and confidence in the relationship. Emotional safety allows her to be authentic without hesitation, to express her desires and fears openly, and to engage in the relationship with wholehearted commitment. When she knows she will not be judged, dismissed, or abandoned, she freely offers her love and loyalty in ways that are deep, enduring, and transformative. Love that is rooted in safety transcends superficial attraction or temporary passion. A woman who feels secure is not constantly testing, doubting, or guarding herself against potential betrayal. She does not manipulate, control, or withdraw to protect her heart because she knows that her emotions are respected and honored. Her heart is open, not out of naivety, but out of trust. She invests in the relationship with the assurance that her emotional well-being is a priority to her partner. This kind of love is patient, consistent, and resilient because it is built on the foundation of mutual respect, trust, and understanding. When a woman feels safe, she allows intimacy to develop naturally in all its dimensions: emotional, mental, and physical. She does not compartmentalize her feelings or hold back parts of herself out of fear. She shares her thoughts, her dreams, and even her insecurities, knowing that they will be received with care rather than criticism. Emotional openness fosters closeness, and closeness strengthens the bond between partners. She is able to communicate honestly and vulnerably, creating a feedback loop where trust deepens, loyalty strengthens, and love grows. The relationship becomes a space of mutual growth where both partners feel supported, understood, and valued. Safety also nurtures commitment. A woman who feels emotionally secure does not need constant validation or reassurance because her trust in the relationship is strong. She makes the conscious choice to remain present, to work through challenges, and to invest her energy in nurturing the bond. When difficulties arise, she approaches them not as threats to her security, but as opportunities to grow closer and deepen understanding. Her loyalty is not conditional or fickle. It is the natural outcome of feeling protected, respected, and valued over time. Emotional safety transforms her choice to love into a stable, enduring reality rather than a fluctuating reaction to circumstances. Furthermore, when a woman experiences safety, she becomes more emotionally generous. She offers support, encouragement, and compassion without reservation. She celebrates her partner's successes, comforts him in struggles, and stands by him with steadfast loyalty. Her investment is holistic because she trusts that the emotional environment of the relationship will not betray her. This generosity, in turn, fosters reciprocity, creating a relationship characterized by mutual care and deep connection. Love becomes an active living force, sustained by shared respect, consistent support, and the ongoing demonstration of reliability and emotional availability. Ultimately, the sense of safety transforms how a woman experiences love and intimacy. She is free to engage fully, to be vulnerable, and to express her true self without fear. The choice to love is deliberate, conscious, and empowered. This level of trust and security is the cornerstone of real intimacy, where emotional connection runs deep, loyalty is unwavering, and love is a daily, conscious act of giving and receiving. When a woman feels truly safe, her love is no longer a gamble. It becomes a profound, enduring, and transformative force in the relationship.